Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. The Tour de France feels like a lifetime ago, but there's one more Grand Tour left this season, and it might be the strangest one in years. La Vuelta a España starts in a few days, and this time it's not really a mystery who the favorite is. It's basically just how big is Tadej Pogačar's margin going to be. Today I want to walk you through the route, who's actually racing, and why this Vuelta is shaping up completely different to the tour we just spent 3 weeks covering together. Quick one before we dive in. Thank you to everyone who helped get this channel to where it is after the tour series. I'd love to get to 150 subscribers by the time this Vuelta wraps up in Granada. So if you're sticking around for another 3 weeks of this, hitting subscribe now genuinely helps. Right, let's get into it. Quick refresher for anyone newer to the channel. The Vuelta a España is the third and final Grand Tour of the season. Alongside the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia, it's generally considered the hardest of the three in terms of terrain. More short, brutal uphill finishes, less flat recovery time, and a route that's often deliberately chaotic by design. Instead of yellow, the leader wears red, and this year's genuinely notable change. For the first time in a while, the race won't finish in Madrid. That's actually down to a scheduling clash. Madrid is hosting a Formula One street race this year, so instead of the Vuelta wrapping up in Granada, closing out 3 weeks that start on the French Riviera and finish deep in the Andalusia. The route. This is genuinely a brutal course. 21 stages, 3,275 kilometers, and more than 58,000 meters of total climbing. It opens with a short technical time trial through the streets of Monaco, finishing right where the Formula One Grand Prix does. From there it heads west along the coast and into the mountains almost immediately. Stage 4 is a brutal loop finishing in Andorra, one of the hardest days of the opening week. After that, the race crosses into Spain properly, working through the Costa Dorada, Valencia and down toward Alicante, for a summit finish at the Alto de la Aitana before the first race day. Week 2 goes deep into Andalusia. Calar Alto, the Sierra de la Pandera, and a string of medium mountain stages that never really let anyone recover. Then after the second race day, the final week, the two biggest GC moments of the entire race. A properly long 32-kilometer time trial between El Puerto de Santa Maria and Jerez, and the brutal uphill finish at Peñas Blancas above Estepona. The race finishes with a new summit finale at the Collado del Alguicio before one last flat stage into Granada. So who's actually racing? Here's where the Vuelta gets genuinely unusual. After the drama of the Tour de France, a lot of biggest names from the race simply aren't here. Remco Evenepoel, Isaac del Toro, Paul Seixas and Juan Ayuso are all sitting this one out. Jonas Vingegaard, who actually won the Giro d'Italia earlier this year, isn't racing either, still recovering from the collarbone injury that ended his tour, which leaves Tadej Pogačar as the outright dominant favorite. And there's a genuine great story behind why he's even here. The Vuelta is the only one of the 3 Grand Tours missing from his career. He's already won the Tour and the Giro. This is the last piece of the set. His only previous Vuelta appearance was back in 2019, his first ever Grand Tour, when he finished third overall as a complete unknown. Now he's back to finish the job, backed by his own UAE team Emirates teammate Juan Almeida, last year's runner-up. As for 4-time champion Primož Roglič, he is racing, which was genuinely in doubt after he was hit by a car in training. But his own team has already confirmed he won't be targeting the overall win this time. His form on longer climbs hasn't been where it needs to be since the crash. So a record-breaking 5th Vuelta title looks like a story for another year. Behind Pogačar, the chasing pack for the podium is still strong. Richard Carapaz, Enric Mas, Mateusz Skelmoser, Felix Gall, who was actually runner-up at this year's Giro, Carlos Rodriguez and Oscar Only. And even if the GC battle looks one-sided, the daily stage hunting should be excellent, with Wout van Aert, Mats Petersen, Sepp Kuss, and rising sprinter Matthew Brennan all racing for Visma Leasebike, and expect to fight for stage wins on the flatter days. Storylines to watch. A few things I'll be following closely. First, just how dominant is Pogačar going to be without Vingegaard, Evenepoel, or most of his unusual or usual biggest rivals in the race. He's chasing the final piece of his Grand Tour set, and after what we saw at the Tour, this could get one-sided fast. Second, Roglic's role. He is confirmed to start, but with his team already ruling out the GC push, watch instead of stage hunting opportunities or a supporting role. Still a fascinating storyline for a 4-time champion, just a different one than expected. And third, with the GC picture looking fairly settled on paper, keep an eye on the breakaways and the sprint battles instead. A lot of the daily drama this Vuelta might end up happening behind the red jersey rather than around it. So, that is the Vuelta España 2026. Brutal terrain, a finish in Granada instead of Madrid, and a start list that's missing half the names we just spent 3 weeks talking about. It might not have the suspense of the Tour, but with over 58,000 meters of climbing and 7 uphill finishes, this route is going to punish anyone who isn't at their absolute best. I'll be covering this one stage by stage exactly like we did the Tour, starting with stage 1 from Monaco. Look pro, ride slow, see you for stage 1. Cheers guys.